back to my channel. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things from last week. This week we're going to talk about Canadian workplace culture. Congratulations on you getting the job. So what next? Keeping the job is an entirely different ball game from getting the job. Today I'll be sharing some strategies and explaining some expected Canadian cultures to help you pass your 3-month probation period and beyond. Workplace culture in Canada is quite different from many other countries. What is acceptable from your country might not be acceptable in the Canadian culture. So today I'm going to talk a little bit is expected, the values of a Canadian employer. So Canadian employers generally have high expectation, but fair expectations of their employees. So they expect you to be cooperative, they expect you to be cautious, flexible, efficient at your work approach. They expect you to be able to work along harmoniously with other team members, socialize with every other person, and understand that there is cultural difference in your workplace. So your career success will depend highly on your ability to deliver on your deadlines, as well as communicate effectively, which is definitely something that every other employer all over the world will expect, but with a little twist. So what is the little twist? You're expected to be direct, honest, and open. However, you have to consider the feelings of the people you're working with when you're making your suggestion. So certain things are seen as rude, and it might not seem rude from where you're coming from. Whereas from other cultures, even though you're expected to be direct, honest, and open as well, you probably don't care about the feeling of the person you're giving the feedback to. In a manager subordinate scenario, for instance, you just say it as you feel, right, without caring about how your subordinate or your manager feel. In Canada, people are very cautious. They respect individual regardless of your level or your role. Equality, all people are equal. Workplace status is not so obvious. So whether you are the MDs, the CEO, the president, or the gatekeeper, there is a level of respect and accord given to everybody. Unlike most cultures, work is usually defined in terms of subordinates, superiors, roles, and status is very important. In Canada, it's not so. Subordinates can actually get their managers fired. If they don't like you, you're making their life hard, they can get you fired. Whereas from most cultures we come from, it's never ever, like, it's almost ever possible. It's usually a top-down approach to feedback and performance management. In Canada, it's 360 degrees. It goes top from the bottom to the top, as well from the top to the bottom. So it's a two-way street. It's never a one-way street. So if you're coming from a culture or a background where the manager has a final say, you're in the wrong place. Self-direction. Typically, employees are given tasks and given the opportunities to figure it out, given the right tools that you need to get the job done. Micromanaging is very, very rare here. So if you come from a background where you tell employees are told what to do and how to do it, any deviation from that, they get into trouble. You might need to adjust that a little bit. Maybe go for coaching. You know exactly how to treat other people here. Another thing I've noticed about Canadian culture is most of the time they focus on short-term outlook. So if your manager is saying this is the short-term goal, they expect you to focus your attention on getting it done, like the short-term goal. Even if you're thinking long-term this is not going to work, you are expected to focus on that goal for that period. Usually performance are done like quarterly and not necessarily like annually. So the long term, at the end of the day, it comes around, it comes together. So at this point in time, this is what we need to focus on. You're expected to focus on that exactly. If you are going out of that scope, then you're going to get yourself in trouble. So they don't usually look like long term, they don't have like long term outlook to like projects like sort of companies do in other countries, because at the end of the day they believe it's going to eventually come around through individualism and privacy. In the workplace, an individual is given an individual has an opportunity to take their personal life much more important than the workplace. Like people don't like there's priority over your individual life than the work. So if you're a manager, for instance, you're expected to give leeways for maybe a mother that needs to take care of their kids. Like you're expected to give them leeways. You cannot say because you have a deadline and it's super important. Truly it's important, but things happen. And when things like that happen, you're expected to give them leeways. People can call you up and let you know that they can't show up at work even if there is a deadline because they lost their cat or their dog. So if you come from a culture or from an environment where you don't see that as super important, you'll be having a lot of conflict and you probably get yourself into trouble as well. So you respect individual needs, you respect their privacy. Because they are your colleagues does not mean they are willing to share their intimate life with you. They don't want to tell you their personal stories, and you just have to respect that. You should also realize that your work colleagues are not your friends. You are at work, you get the work done and you go. Like you're not expected to prognose, get super nosy and too close for comfort, right? So they share what they want to tell you. If they share their experiences with you, it's great, and there's usually like limit. If you take it like overboard, you begin to give them like bad vibes. So, and you don't want to be that employee. You don't want to be that employee that shows up and everybody just go uh-oh. So, instance from my country, most of the people that are on my social media are work colleagues. Like you've seen yourself once or twice at work, you eat it off like immediately. You start relating like friends. It's not like so here in Canada. Because your friends at work does not mean you're going to be friends outside the office. So you don't take it too personal, right? So you could go to lunch together, you could go for coffee breaks together, have like small chats and all that. Just about it. You don't expect them to show up at your wedding. You don't expect them to show up when you have a child. Some relationship grows to that, but not all of it. And when it do grow into that, it's like super rare. It's not like commonplace. For unlike from where we came from, people that like you or people that don't even like you, for the fact that you are colleagues, you're expected to show up at their weddings, you're expected to show up at when they have a child, have all those extra curriculum engagements. It's very rare here. It's even actually not expected, and even when you invite people over, they can respectfully decline, and it changes nothing. Like it doesn't mean they don't like you anymore, does not mean they're not going to go on coffee breaks with you, but they just don't want to. And if they do, it's just accept the fact that they just don't want to, and you don't take it personal. It's not because they hate you. Conflict usually arise when you get into Canada, you got this job and you were hired for a specific reason, Usually when you're hired, you're given like a job description, and your job description states exactly what you have to do. More often than not, I've seen that immigrants get hired for positions that they are more qualified from. But because a lot of migrants just want to fit into the system, they take up this position, and when they get in, they tend to do more than they were hired for. In that kind of situation, you start stepping on toes, and you begin to feel like you're not a good fit, because like I said earlier, you're expected to be able to work harmoniously with other colleagues. So when you begin to clash a little bit with your supervisor because you actually have more experience than him, or you are clashing with someone, your colleague on the same level because you have more experience than him, fair enough. You actually have to earn your spot. They would not just hire you to be an analyst and the next day they're going to promote you to be a senior manager. You need to earn your spot and walk through the ladder. It is very possible to get him into Canada and get a job as a senior manager. It is not out of the odds. You just need to know know how to navigate the system to get hired like that. However, if you are one that you're willing to start all over again because you're new in town, which is totally understandable, you should understand that when you get hired for a job, you're expected to stick to your job description. When you begin to take other job that is not what you are hired for, it becomes an issue. So my advice is, if you have decided to go with a job that is lower than your skills, but it pays your bills and is better than you starting from Starbucks, stay on your lane, stay on your lane, do what you've been hired for. You can start upscaling and let your manager and people around you know that you have knowledge on how to do other things. So if there is vacancy, they can create for you. Or maybe you try to tell them that you're trying to gain Canadian experience in that field on that level. That's a totally different conversation entirely. It's different from you just jumping on a task that has not been assigned to you. Then you don't want to leave a bad taste in the mouth about your personality. You don't want to come out as rude or uncultured. So you want to stay on your lane regarding that. So like I said earlier, managers can actually get fired by their teammates. Their teammates can get you fired if you're a manager. So if you're an immigrant, you're coming here into Canada to work, you got a job as a manager, does not mean that you are alpha and the omega in that team. You get a lot to say actually, but then your team members also have a say. They can get you fired if you give them the bad vibe. It can get you fired if you shout on them, if you don't treat them respectfully, and all those other things that managers do in other countries and get away with it. It's very hard for you to get away with it when you get here. So managers also do not necessarily earn higher than their team members. Like, I was shocked to hear that, because where I came from, the managers earn higher. But here in Canada, it's not always like that. You can be managing a team of people that earn way higher than you. Because they have special skills in that area. So sometimes you get here and all you're doing is, I want a manager job. You probably do not need a manager job. Like, why do you need a manager? Do you have skill to be a manager? Or you just want a manager job just because you have the title? So having the title is so different from earning the money. Like, what do you really want? Do you want the title, or you have the skill? Like, you need to really, really know what you want in this kind of scenario. You don't just jump onto jobs just because of how you feel or because of your past experiences. It's a different ball game here. So when you first get on the job, be very observant. Start by being very, very observant. Just be observant of the culture of the people you are with now, the culture, the style, the management style of your direct supervisor, and the company as a whole. That's going to help you to know how to adjust accordingly and learn the Canadian workplace culture. So many times when job posting requests for Canadian experience, this is why they don't want to hire someone into the team that would not flow with the team, that would have that would not fit in. Being fit into the job is very, very important. It's very, very important to them to find someone that fits into the job. No matter your qualification, if you're not a good fit, you're not a good fit. Your character is not a good fit with the team. The way you think is not a good fit with the team. Then it becomes a problem. Also, I remember the first job I got as a customer service. I knew I was not a good fit into the team. I actually walked away because I knew it that this is not for me. No offense at all to anyone. I'm not going to wait for them to ask me to go because I wasn't feeling the vibe of the team. Like, they were veterans customer support of employees. Like, some of them have been doing this for like 40 years. Like, I just couldn't fit in, and my passion was IT. That's what I know. I was just trying to find a balance, and also I wasn't feeling the job, and I actually resigned and left to find what I really want to do. So if being a good fit is very, very important for you as well as for your employer, because that's how it works. So this is not a country where you just get along. You look for a job that fits your situation, fits your personality, and actually have the same goal as you. So that it's very, very important, both for yourself and as well for your employer. Your employers will look for good fit, so you better start looking for employers that fit into your personality, fit into your goals and vision for your life. So that's also very important for you to look out for. Hours of job. So many places outside of Canada, they would hire people and place them on salary, and they get paid at the end of the month. It's different here in Canada. Most people here are hired on hourly basis. Some jobs hire people on salary, but most jobs hire people on hourly basis. So if you're being hired on hourly basis, you are expected usually to do like 8 hours, sometimes 7.5 hours, the other half hour being your free break time. So, or sometimes 7 hours when your 1 hour is going to be your free break time. So once you're done with your 8 hours, you're expected to leave. So if you're coming from a country with a workplace culture where after your 8 hours you can decide to stay and wait out for traffic, or your boss can still give you more jobs and don't pay for it, then you need a lot of adjustment to do. I remembered my first job as well. After my 8 hours, it was actually 7.5 hours. So after I was done for the day, my supervisor clocked out exactly at 3:30, and I'm like, "Are we done?" She said, "Yeah, go." I can go, and I felt so awkward to leave the work environment. Like, how can I be done by 3:30? Like, work has just started from where I came from, and I was really willing to put in more hours. And she was almost getting upset at me for wanting to stay longer, because that would mean they would have to pay you more. And I didn't understand that. So once you're done with your 8 hours, you're expected to leave. If you need more hours, you need to talk to your supervisor or your manager, and you discuss and agree before you put in the hours. So they don't expect free labor here. They pay for your time. You're working in exchange for payment for your time. So if you are going to do extra hours, you have to discuss it with your supervisor or your manager, because you have to be paid for it. And they have to pay you like extra for those extra hours. So once you're done with your 8 hours, the next 4 hours, I guess, is going to be like an hour and a half pay. After that, you get double time. So if they call you during the weekend or after your work hours, you're going to get like extra paid for it. So because of that, you're expected to leave on time. That's the culture. Another thing I realized was when I got here first, once people get to the office, they get out of they park their vehicle and they get out, they start work like ASAP. That's so totally different from where I came from. From where I came from, you usually get to the office like 1 hour before office start. You stay in your car, and just try to relax or try to no, it's not done like that here. You get to your office, you park your vehicle, get out of the car immediately, and you start work. That's how it works. Go. So time is of essence in Canada. Time is equal to money, and you're expected to use it super wise. These few points that I've noted here, even though it looks like really small, but they are very, very important. Let me mention another thing that could help you settle well at work. So how do you know that you are doing well? How do you know that you are appreciated? How do you know that you're a good fit? You know this when people start asking you out for lunch. Let's go out for lunch, let's have lunch. They enjoy having small talks and chats with you and have like conversations with you. You are invited out for like coffee. Usually, if you're a manager and you're trying to appreciate your subordinates, one of the ways the Canadian culture of how you appreciate your subordinates are you find out the type of coffee they like. You invite them out for coffee breaks, or you buy some coffee for them. Or if you're trying to appreciate your team, you can buy like a box of Tim Hortons donuts. It works magic. Like in my culture, you break cola nuts when you're trying to entertain someone you like. In Canada, you buy a box of donuts and cups of coffee. That does it all the time. You don't have to buy cola nuts. Their cola nuts equals coffee and donuts. Simple, you're done, you're set. You have no problem. So with some friends in Canada, that's how they settle their grievances. Even when they don't agree on certain things and they decided to move on, you go for a coffee or you buy some donuts for each other. That's how it works. That was very interesting for me to find out anyways. So there you have free gold. Go, succeed, prosper. Congratulations on your job. I hope you have a nice time. I hope you enjoy it. And what else would you like me to talk about? Let me know in the comment section. Do you like this episode? Let me know as well in the comment section. I'd like to interact with you. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Till the time, have a great one. Bye.